Africa's World Cup breakthrough. A continent announces its arrival in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. Welcome to this special edition of Ball Africa. History is being written before our very own eyes. For decades, African nations arrived at the FIFA World Cup carrying the hopes of a continent, often living with stories of what could have been. In 2026, that narrative has changed forever. A record 10 African nations qualified for the FIFA 2026 World Cup in Mexico, Canada, and the United States of America. And now, in an unprecedented achievement, 9 African nations, I repeat, 9 African nations have advanced to the round of 32, the greatest collective performance by African football in World Cup history. This is no longer about participation. This is about competition, belief, and excellence. Africa has announced itself not as an emerging force, but as a global football superpower. Today, we celebrate the journeys of Morocco, the Atlas Lions, of Egypt, the Pharaohs, of Ghana, the Black Stars, of Senegal, the Lions of Teranga, of South Africa, the Bafana Boys, of Cape Verde, the Blue Sharks, of Côte d'Ivoire, les Elephants, of Algeria, the Desert Fox, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, the 9 nations carrying the dream of an entire continent into the knockout stages. We will also reflect on the campaign of Tunisia, the lone African country that has not advanced to the round of 32, but a nation whose passion for this game continues to remain strong and essential to Africa's football story. The World Cup has already shattered records. Africa sent a record 10 teams. And this tournament has proven that Africa is no longer here to participate, but here to tell a story and own a story. An achievement that may one day be remembered as the moment African football truly came of age. This is Ball Africa. I am your host, Easy Lise, and this is Africa's World Cup, 9 out of 10, ready for the round of 32. The DR Congo is the first team that we're going to talk about. The Leopards of Lumumba. Perhaps no African nation's journey at this World Cup embodies the spirit of resilience than that of the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Leopards arrived at the tournament carrying the hopes of a football nation that had waited decades to return to the world's biggest stage, drawn into a daunting group featuring Portugal, Colombia, and Uzbekistan. Many observers view the Democratic Republic of Congo as outsiders to advance. But football, especially African football, has a way of rewriting expectations. Under the leadership of Coach Sébastien Desabre, former coach of Côte Sport of Garoua, Cameroon, the Leopards demonstrated tactical discipline, physical intensity, and a collective belief that never wavered. Their historic qualifications to the round of 32, secured with a decisive victory over Uzbekistan, marks one of the great stories of the World Cup and continues the remarkable rise of Congolese football in recent years. The indefatigable captain, Chancel Mbemba, once again proved what he remains one of Africa's premier defenders, providing leadership and composure throughout the tournament and beyond. Meanwhile, the attacking players delivered when it mattered the most, combining flair with determination to keep the Congolese dream alive. The success of this team also reflects the strength of the Congolese diaspora, with players born and developed across Europe, proudly choosing by heart to represent the nation of their parents' origin and grandparents' origin, bringing together talent, identity, and national pride, a sense of belonging. Now comes perhaps their greatest challenge yet, a round of 32 showdown against England. On paper, the 3 Lions enter as favorites, but this World Cup has already taught us a lesson. Underestimate African football at your own risk. Can the DRC Congo continue their fairy tale run? If the Leopards can maintain their organization, their belief, and their fighting spirit, they have every chance of writing yet another unforgettable chapter in African football. They face England, and of course, time for them to proudly represent Mama Africa. Morocco, the Atlas Lions of Mustafa Hadji. Coming into this tournament, Morocco were Africa's highest expectations after becoming the first African nation ever to have reached the World Cup semifinals in Qatar 2022. Anything less than another deep run would have been considered disappointing for the Atlas Lions. Under coach Mohamed Wabi. The Ivoire Lions once again demonstrated tactical discipline, defensive organization, and attacking quality. A draw against the almighty Brazil, followed by victories that secured their qualifications, reminded everyone that Morocco's historic run in Qatar was not a miracle. It was not an error. It was not by chance. It was the emergence of an African powerhouse. One of the stars of the tournament has been Ismail Saibari, whose creativity and goals have driven Morocco forward. Veteran leaders such as Achraf Hakimi have continued to set the standard. Many players develop in Europe but choose to represent their country of ancestral origin, the homeland, a statement to the vision of Moroccan football and football development in Africa. The next challenge is a fascinating round of 32 encounter against the Netherlands, a match filled with football history, cultural connections, emotional significance, and tactics. Can Morocco go all the way? If any African nation can reach another semi-final or perhaps even the final, it potentially can be Morocco. The Atlas Lions can do this. Make Mama Africa proud as you face the Netherlands and the Orange Army. We know the influence of the Orange Army. Egypt, the Pharaohs of Hossam Hassan. Egypt entered the World Cup. Egypt entered the World Cup with enormous expectations and equally enormous pressure. The Pharaohs had not advanced beyond the group stage since 1990, but the king, Mohamed Salah, leading one of the continent's most experienced squads for many years, believed this was finally Egypt's moment, and Egypt delivered. Draws against top opposition and an impressive victory over New Zealand showcased a balance, a side capable of controlling games while remaining dangerous in transition. Mohamed Salah and his teammates have once again demonstrated why he remains one of Africa's greatest players. But equally impressive have been players like Mahmoud Saber, Umar Mamouche, Mohamed Abdelmonem, who have stepped onto the football's greatest stage. Coach and Egyptian football legend Hossam Hassan and his twin brother, right by his side as his assistant, Ibrahim Hassan, deserve tremendous credit for building a team around Mohamed Salah while ensuring Egypt remains dangerous, even when opponents focus entirely on their superstar. The question now is very simple. Can the Pharaohs of Egypt finally reach a World Cup quarterfinals? Their path remains very difficult, but for the first time in decades, Egyptian fans have a genuine reason to dream with the qualification into the round of 32. Dear Pharaohs, now is the time to make Mama Africa proud as you face Australia in the round of 32. Ghana, the Black Stars of Abedi Pele. No African nation entered the tournament carrying more emotional baggage than Ghana. The memories of 2010, the heartbreak against Uruguay, and yes, and years of inconsistency all weigh heavily on the Black Stars. Expectations were cautious. Instead, Ghana rediscovered its identity. Strong performance and crucial results have secured their passage to the knockout rounds, driven by the blend of youthful energy and traditional Ghanaian resilience. Within a short time, Coach Carlos Queiroz has built a team that is organized, fearless, and capable of competing against anyone. This team is really a team and plays as a block and is very compact. The standout performances have powered and embraced the pressure, reminding the world why Ghana remains one of Africa's great football nations. Cheerleaders like Asamoah Gyan, Ghana's legend and highest African goal scorer at the World Cup, have pushed Jordan Ayew and Antoine Semenyo into the round of 32. They face Colombia. Could Ghana recreate the magic of 2010? They have already exceeded many expectations. To the Black Stars, it is time to make Mama Africa proud. Go ahead and rumble. Senegal, the Lions of Teranga, of Khalidou Fadiga, of Alhaji Hussein Diouf. Senegal arrived with a reputation to protect. Quarterfinalists in 2002, round of 16 participants in 2022. The Lions of Teranga have become one of Africa's most consistent World Cup performers. After some early struggles, Senegal responded emphatically with a historic 5-0 victory over Iraq, the largest World Cup victory ever recorded by an African team. The performance reminded everyone of Senegal's attacking power, competitive mentality, and strength. Coach Pape Thiaw has maintained the identity established over years of success, physical strength, tactical discipline, and relentless pressing, pure talent and skill. The Senegalese squad continues to embody the spirit that has made them continental football champions and giants. If momentum matters in knockout football, Senegal may be arriving at exactly the right time. The Lions of Teranga, it is time to make Africa proud in the round of 30. The Senegalese would face Belgium. South Africa, Bafana Bafana of Mark Fish, Lucas Radebe, Benedict McCarthy. South Africa entered the tournament as one of Africa's outsiders. Very few analysts predicted Bafana Bafana would survive the group stage. Yet, football has always rewarded belief, especially African belief. After overcoming early setbacks, South Africa demonstrated resilience, discipline, and tactical intelligence to secure a historic qualification for the entire country south of the Sahara. Coach Hugo Broos, once coach of Cameroon, once again proved why experience matters at major tournaments. He made his team play in very compact plays with same string build-ups from the back to advance to the dangerous positions, which created opportunities. The collective spirit of the South African team has been their greatest strength. They may not possess the star power and quality of Morocco or Egypt or Senegal, but they possess something equally dangerous. Believe. Can they shock the football world? They have already done so. They have already started doing so exactly. Bafana Bafana, it is time to really make Mama Africa proud. It's time to make your number one fan, Mama Joy, proud as you go and play one of the tri-country hosts, Canada, today. Cape Verde, Cabo Verde, Tubarões Azuis, the Blue Sharks. No history has been better. There is no story that can be better captured the beauty of Cape Verde. A small island nation with a population just over 600,000 people has become one of the greatest stories of the World Cup, the sweetheart of the World Cup. The Blue Shark frustrated giant teams like Spain, remained unbeaten through key matches, and captured the imagination of football fans around the world. Players such as Dion, Livramento, and goalie Vozinha have become symbols of the nation's refusing to accept limitations. Cabo Verde's qualification is not merely a football achievement. It's a proof that vision, organization, and belief can overcome population size and financial disparities. Every additional match they play now becomes another chapter in one of Africa's football greatest stories, another icing on the cake. The Blue Sharks have already made Mama Africa proud. Is it time to go and beat Argentina and add more Italians on the ladder? Côte d'Ivoire, les éléphants de Didier Drogba, les éléphants de Salomon Kalou, et les éléphants de Franck Kessié. Fresh of their miraculous AFCON triumph, Côte d'Ivoire arrived believing that anything was possible. The Elephants experienced setback, but showed the resilience that defined their Continental Championship campaign. Their qualification demonstrates the strength of a generation that has learned how to suffer, adapt, but survive. A generation that plays together and understands the power of the collective. Immense Faye, the AFCON revelation coach, and his staff deserve enormous praise for maintaining belief during difficult moments. With their physicality, technical quality, and tournament experience, Côte d'Ivoire could emerge as one of the most dangerous dark horses remaining in the competition as they make their way to the round of 32. They play against Norway. Ignore the Elephants and get Didier Drogba, Salomon Kalou, and Yaya Touré in your dreams. Ignore Côte d'Ivoire at your own risk. Don't forget the largest land mammal is the elephant, the elephants of Côte d'Ivoire. Algeria, the desert fox of Rabat Majer. Few African nations arrive at this World Cup with expectations as high as Algeria. The desert foxes have long been considered one of the continent's football powerhouses. And after navigating a difficult qualification campaign, many believe they possessed the experience and talent to make a deep run. Drawn into a very challenging group alongside the mighty Argentina, the consistent Austria, and Jordan, Algeria knew that every match would matter. Under the leadership of coach Vladimir Petkovic, the Desert Foxes demonstrated their trademark resilience, tactical discipline. A crucial victory over Jordan kept their hopes alive, while a hard-fought draw against Austria ultimately proved decisive in securing qualification to the knockout round. The tournament has seen several Algerian stars rise to the occasion. Captain Riyad Mahrez once again demonstrated his leadership and creativity on the world's biggest stage, while younger talents embrace the responsibility of carrying one of Africa's proudest football traditions into the future. The influence of Algeria's vast diaspora football culture continues to be evident, with many players proudly representing the nation of their parents and their grandparents. Once again, heart triumphants. Now, Algeria faces one of the biggest tests unimaginable at the round of 32, encountering Switzerland. It is a match that will require discipline, courage, and perhaps a touch of the magic that has defined some of Algeria's greatest moments in World Cup history. How far can Algeria go? If the Desert Foxes can survive the knockout stages in the same group with Argentina, they have the experience, the technical quality, and the fighting spirit to become one of Africa's surprise packages of this historic tournament. They are ready for Switzerland. It would not be okay for me to terminate this podcast, this special edition, without talking about Tunisia. The Eagles of Carthage couldn't take off flight. No African team entered the World Cup with more experience than Tunisia. Appearing in their 7th FIFA World Cup, the Eagles of Carthage hope that their blend of veteran leadership and tactical discipline would finally help them break through to the knockout stages. Unfortunately, Tunisia found themselves in one of the tournament's toughest groups, alongside the Netherlands, Japan, and Sweden. Their campaign began with a difficult 1-5 defeat to Sweden, followed by another setback against the impressive Japanese side. Despite showing tremendous fighting spirit and pride in their final match against the Netherlands, Tunisia ultimately exited the tournament without a point. For Tunisia, this World Cup will be remembrance of a disappointment in terms of result, but also remembrance of another chapter in the country's proud football history. The Eagles of Carthage may be out, but their passion, their support, and their unwavering belief remain an important part of Africa's growing football story, and Tunisia is part of this story. Africa has created records at this World Cup. This World Cup has already rewritten African football story. Africa sent a record 10 teams to the FIFA World Cup. 9 of the 10 teams have reached the round of 32, a new continental record. Senegal recorded the biggest victory by an African nation at this FIFA World Cup, 5-0 over Iraq. Cape Verde did not lose any game in group play to advance to the round of 32. The Democratic Republic of Congo, Côte d'Ivoire, and Egypt make the knockout stages for the first time in the history of the teams at the World Cup. Africa has produced its strongest collective World Cup group stage performance ever. Morocco continues to build on its historic status as the first African nation to reach the semifinals. As we close out this special edition of this Ball Africa podcast, whether these 9 nations all fall in the next round of 32, or whether one of them leaves the trophy in New York in July, history has already been made. This World Cup represents more than football results. It represents investment. It represents coaching, development. It represents diaspora connections. It represents belief. It represents that Africa has a deep lineup of players and teams that can dominate at the World Cup. For decades, African football has asked for respect. In 2026, African football stopped asking for respect. It simply took its place. Africa has stopped asking for respect and started demanding respect because it has earned it. This is Ball Africa, and this is Africa's World Cup.